Hey, this is Andy Harding. Just kidding you. Hey, so a funny thing happened. And actually, we don't have Andy. Something happened with the feed or something. I have no idea. Andy. I'm Dr. Bill Tackett. I have a practice in upstate New York. And probably about half hour ago, um, I was reminded that I had this talk tonight. Andy had asked me at the last DE, and I was like, sure. And for some reason, I was thinking it was in March. But it's funny, the circumstances that have happened over the last few days uh, kind of gave me a little bit of a topic. So I'm going to preface this. All right. And again, I have a practice in upstate New York. I've been practicing for 25 years. And my wife and I were supposed to come down to Florida next Saturday, or this coming up Saturday. We were going to go Saturday to Saturday, and last Friday we were hanging out at the house. I worked till noon, and we were just hanging out. We got a phone call, and it was Florida, and they were like, uh, "Where are you?" And my wife was like, no, it's next Saturday. And she's like, no, we have you for Friday to Friday this week. So and there's going to be a point to this whole thing. So I had really I have an associate, and so she's great, Dr. Beth, but I didn't want, she wasn't going to be seeing 350 or more. So we put a lot of patients in this week, and so my wife, she was so upset. She just felt so badly about it, and it was me and her and my mom were coming down, and so we already had to use it or lose it. And we'd still have to pay for it. So we got her and my mom on a flight Saturday morning, and they came here. But she was just so upset because I'm blessed that we have such a nice relationship after all these years, and she really just felt so bad that I wasn't going to be able to come down, and she completely understood because our week this week was just going to be crazy. Um, and so I came in. So she came down, her and my mom, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning I was like, all right, well, I'll still, it'll be a good week. We'll go somewhere next week for a few days. Um, and then Monday morning came, and I go into the office and I told my office manager what happened, and she was like, and part of me wanted her to say, well, let's just get you down there anyhow. And she did say that. She's like, well, no, let's get you down there. We can do that. And so I was like, all right, well, if I'm going, I'm going to be leaving Tuesday morning. And so we did that. They moved a lot of patients this week, put them back in the next week, and Dr. Beth was all about it, and and my wife didn't know, and I knew she was still sad, and she had no idea. And so I told her I was working on the apartment house and all these things I was doing. Meanwhile, we got me a flight out at 6 o'clock this morning. But what it was is so I get up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I it's an hour to the airport, and I call her at like 9:30 from this quiet spot at the airport. Said I was just playing my drums and not much. So I came and I got it on video, and it's great. She was laying out in the sun, and I came up to her, and she just looked at me, and she's just like so startled, and then she just hugged me, and she was got really emotional, and it just felt so good. And what it made me think about as I was thinking about, what am I going to talk about tonight? It's true that, and this holds true for me, and it really is. It's God, family, chiropractic, um, and then I say that looking back, building a practice and stuff. anybody that if you're new into practice, you got a young family, I can look back and I just feel like even though I was close and we did a lot, I didn't, it was it was God, it was chiropractic building practice, and but I look back and I just do regret, that there's things that I didn't do or maybe wasn't as focused about while I was with the family. And it's understandable. I mean, it's stressful building a practice, and all those things. But guess what? You're gonna build the practice just as fast, maybe even faster, if you have that true quality family time. It's just the most important thing. And it was just so emotional with my wife, and I'm just so thankful that it was. I'm so thankful I came down. I'm thankful to my office manager and in the front desk. They had to make a bunch of phone calls, and but it was such a special thing, and I can't say it enough. It is God, and then it is family, and then it's chiropractic. Um, and so actually that went a little quicker than I thought. So that was about 10 minutes, 8 minutes. But it's an important point, and I I can't say enough about it. But having said all that, now I hadn't been to DE in probably a year, and so we're changing the topic now. But I hadn't been to DE in about a year, and I don't know if I was just not I wasn't putting enough into it to get as much out of it. Um, but boy, when I got there, the last DE, it was just probably the best DE since my first DE, which was probably like 8 years ago. And it was just seeing everybody after not seeing them for a year. Just the connections you get. And yes, you get so motivated listening to the incredible speakers. They're all just so special. But really, it was just getting to see everybody again. And I came back, and it's inevitable, especially if you're putting in your emotion, or you're putting in your mental energy and getting something out of it, which you do have to make an effort. When you go to DE, you get out of it what you put into it. And even if putting in means focusing, and interacting, everybody's just so loving, everybody's so caring. There's not anything that anybody should be intimidated with when you go to a DE, because everybody just keeps themselves on the same level, and that's the best part. But it made me realize just how much it does impact my practice, because of my mentality, 100%. It's like you come back, you get little tidbits from everybody, and I made sure I wrote down every speaker. I always get something from each of them, and you just write down one, even if it's just a sentence that they said that really just like hit home. And I did that, and then I left. I left. I left my little notebook. Eddie, thanks, Eddie, for sending it back to me, because I wanted to look at what I wrote down. But instantly, it's like the universe says, "Okay, you're ready now again," and then all of a sudden, you get a bunch of new patients, and it's weird. I mean, it's weird because you might not have it, and I felt like the new patient numbers were down a little bit, and my overall numbers were down a little bit as well. Boy, that first week back, it was just like a bunch of new patients, a bunch of call-ins from past patients, and it really, I believe that it is God, it's the universe. It's like, okay, he's ready to help now. He's ready to actually put his mind and spirit and skill level to the level it's supposed to be when you have people under your care, under your hands. And and having that right mindset is your responsibility. I mean, it's easy when we just get distracted, and sometimes it's like, wait a second, I don't even remember seeing that patient. And I feel bad when that happens. I know that my hands are doing what they're supposed to do. It's just the psychomotor skills. It's an innate component, but not to the degree where that special something comes in. Because you can do the mechanics all day long, and I know I'm probably bouncing around on all this, but you can do the mechanics just perfectly. But BJ talked about that special something, and that's where the intent comes in, and that's when the real special stuff happens. That's when you're truly doing chiropractic like it was meant to be. And that's when you see these things that you just hear other people talking about. And so I say all that with the premise of DE gives that to me. And it gives that to me when I give myself to DE. Because you can go and sit in the chair, and you're going to get about as much as that patient that's just getting you doing the mechanics. That's a pretty good comparison. Um, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, and that patient's only going to get out of it what you put into it. And so it's not even just the friendships. It's kind of like it's tanking up. It's filling that tank back up, because even with DE, by the time 3 months come around, you're ready to tank up again. Because otherwise, um, you know, life gets us, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. This Tuesday night talk. I mean, this is big for people. Um, I don't know how big it is for tonight, but either way you look at it, um, it's little things that you can do on a regular basis, including for me. I like to get into the Bible, and I get away from that sometimes, and the same type of thing happens. I'm not present um, as much as I should be with my heart and God. Um, and so I get into that. But I listen to my headphones, get my music going before my day gets started. I make sure my headspace is clear. And so there's a lot of different ways that people can really get their headspace where it needs to be. But getting with like-minded people is probably the most productive, especially and even just in a couple of days. That productivity in tanking up like you need to, filling back up, is going to carry over, and it's going to carry over into lives, souls that are underneath your hands. And there's no more special gift you can get than somebody laying down on that table with their trust. um, and and that's where I really, if I don't have my 100% or at least 95% concentration, that's when I feel guilty. Well, I don't remember seeing that patient. Maybe not that I don't remember seeing him, but it's just I knew I wasn't present. And so these are things that actually help you build your practice. If you want to get busy, or you want to stay busy, you have to stay present, and you find out what does that for you, because there's nothing more fulfilling than not stressing when you open your eyes in the morning, because you're worried about the bills, because you're worried about this or worried about that. If you can get up in the morning and look forward to going into work, um, well, that right is the meaning of success. And there was, I forget who the speaker was, but it was great. They were talking about what is success, but if you didn't go to DE, you missed it. So I feel like going back, keep your family number. Well, number two, only because God is number one for me. And if you don't have God, um, well, well, I guess I don't know what to say about that. I don't judge anybody at all, but there is something then higher than what we are. But anyhow, family. You keep them at the top, and if you've got some decisions to make coming up, and it's like, well, yeah, I could do this with the family, but I got to do this with the office. Please do that with the family. And so that was the big point that I feel like I was supposed to talk about tonight. Um, and yeah, this was kind of it was definitely spur of the moment, and sometimes that's better than thinking about things for too long. But I feel like I did it all right. I got 18 minutes in there, and but I'm so thankful for everybody that has, you know, that has really helped make my life better simply by knowing you, and that that's the DE folks. So I feel like I don't know who wraps this up. I know I started it off, but if anybody wants to jump in or can jump in, otherwise I'm just going to keep on rambling. And you don't want me singing.
Hey, Bill, how are you, brother? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, my
Hey,
mic was.
sorry for the technical difficulty. I
Oh
just want to,
hell, that's nothing.
hey man, I just want to kind of recap what you said because I think a lot of people need to hear this. One, keep God first, seek ye first, and all else follows. Right? That first
Yeah.
and foremost forever. Right?
Yes.
And you said the mindset and our intention is our responsibility, and I think, and then later you said, um, the practice, if you want your practice to grow, you have to keep your mindset and your focus and your intention pure,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but those
Yeah.
are nuggets that I talk to people a lot of times. Well, I can't say present time conscious, whatever. But you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's so passionate. I mean, one, God first, family second. But then when
Yeah.
you are in the office,
Yeah.
it's all the office, right? I mean, you're the present time conscious with the intention,
Yep.
because your patients, you said, your patients will only get you'll only get out of DE what you bring to DE, and
Yep.
your patients will only get out of what you do is what
Yeah.
your intention is. So I mean,
Yeah.
those are nuggets from gold right there, brother. Good job.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate it, and it's nice to see you. And sorry, I can even picture you saying, "Hey, you want to do the Tuesday night talk?" And I thought for sure it was March. I don't know what was going on in my head, but and it was so nice to see you, and then to see just everybody, at that last E, and I really do miss it. And oh, by the way, I I I bought the membership,
Oh,
so now
awesome.
I'm committed.
Awesome. There you go. Well, that kind of
Yeah,
ties into, since I didn't get to introduce you, let me give you a little advertisements for DE. One, the next one is April 18th to 21st. And like Bill did, make sure you jump in and join the membership, because that way, one, it's cheaper to go to each every DE. And two, you can also go back and listen to all the DEs. I think it goes back about 9 or 10 years now. So that way,
yeah,
like you said, when you're going to work and you want to just plug in and want to just listen to stuff, just plug it in, and you can listen to it while you're working out. You can listen to it while you're driving, or you can just share it with your staff or whatever. So it's an awesome way to get involved. I think it's
yeah,
$109 a month, if I'm not wrong on
yeah,
that. And
yeah. And it's a
And
commit, and you're committing. You're saying, all right, I'm going to do this.
right, 100%. And if something comes up with your family that you can't actually show up, you can
Yeah.
still be on the live stream and you still go back
Yep.
and listen to it later. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for jumping in here. Appreciate you,
All
man.
right. No, I appreciate it. Love and
Everybody,
appreciate you guys. Catch
everybody
you
have a
later.
great night. Thanks,
All
Bill.
right. Take it
Love you, man.
easy. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.